would so proudly we hailed, and the twilight lies gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fights. Oh, the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets rattling, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land under the fray, and the home of the brave.
Hello, I'm Willie Jones. Have you had a run-in with the local law enforcement? Last weekend, I found myself in the custody of the sheriff's department. I wasn't ready for it either. As a matter of fact, I was becoming popular a lot faster than I wanted, and my cellmate started calling me Sugar Britches. I didn't know what to do. Fortunately, I heard about Kenny Bun Bail Bond. Kenny himself came and got me. My virtue was saved. So remember, if you find yourself against the local law enforcement, don't wait. Call Kenny Bun Bail Bonds at 256-237-9996. That's 256-237-9996. Or have somebody go by the office at number 30 East 14th Street in Anniston. That's Kenny Bun Bail Bonds. They'll have you out before you can hear the words Sugar Britches. The views and opinions expressed on the Honest Answer Radio show are the opinions of Honest Answer Media and no one else. If you're hearing a syndicated broadcast of this show, don't hold it against the broadcaster. Rather, congratulate them on their openness, tolerance, and respect for the First Amendment to the Constitution of the United States of America. Thank you very much.
Times have come here, but now they're gone. Seasons don't fear the reaper, nor do the wind, the sun, or the rain. We can be like they are. Come on, baby, don't fear the reaper. Baby, take my hand. Don't fear the reaper. We'll be able to fly. Don't fear the reaper. Baby, I'm your man. La 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 la.
And welcome one more time to Honest Answer Radio here on honestanswerradio.com, where we're kicking the mainstream media in the teeth every chance we get. This your first time listening to the show? I'm going to be the Marty half of your dynamic hosting duo this evening.
And I will be the Casey half here on the Thursday evening edition of Honest Answer Radio. Say, man, did you hear that Eric Holder is resigning?
Yeah, it seems like I heard something about that somewhere today. There might have been one or two people talking about it.
Do you think that the president will nominate Ted Nugent for Attorney General? Because that's what I'm personally hoping.
No. I'm kind of...
I thought it would be a long shot, but hey.
Yeah, well, that I think that's a little bit too long a shot. That is the big story today, that Eric Holder is resigning. Of course, he did say that he was going to resign. I think it was
back in
either January or February, something like that. And it's no real big shocker. And I told everybody on Facebook today, I wouldn't get too happy about it because he is going to have a replacement. There's really no telling who it's going to be. Some people think it's going to be the governor of Massachusetts. Some folks think it's going to be the Solicitor General. What I'm finding more interesting is the why. Why is he stepping down now? And could it be, I heard it postulated earlier today by Limbaugh, that perhaps there's an off chance that he would be tapped to replace Ruth Bader Ginsburg on the Supreme Court, which is a frightening prospect. Not so much that he would replace Ruth Bader Ginsburg, but that Eric Holder would hold a seat on the Supreme Court until he freaking dies.
That would be a tragedy. Not to mention, you remember when Janet Napolitano resigned from Homeland Security.
Mm-hmm.
Her replacement,
Jay Johnson.
You could make an argument that he's actually worse than she was. I mean, there's a big argument to be made that he's worse than Janet Napolitano.
Just when you think that this administration can't squeeze any more stupidity out pops Jay Johnson replacing Janet Napolitano, and now Eric Holder's resigning. Who's going to replace him? And will he be as racist as Eric Holder is? Will he hate, well, I'll just be blunt, will he hate white folks as much as Eric Holder does? Because that is Eric Holder's main issue. He likes to refer to it as civil rights, but the rest of us see it as he hates white people.
Well, we knew we were in trouble within a couple weeks of the election in 2008 when he elected not to prosecute the new Black Panthers for voter intimidation in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
And said he just absolutely wasn't gonna prosecute it. The only good thing to come out of that was the fact that J. Christian Adams left the Department of Justice and became a political pundit writing over there on PJ Media. That's the only good thing that we can say that came out of this. But I would have rather, frankly, had J. Christian Adams, knowing his political views and knowing his integrity. I think we all would have rather had him still serving in the Department of Justice. But,
well, I got this piece of audio from Chuck Todd
Chuck
over there
Todd?
at MSNBC that it is just too funny not to play. It is ridiculous. Listen to this.
You know, he did a lot of the tough stuff that you would say, hey, Attorney General's got to do tough stuff. This is not a forgiving job. You got to do the tough stuff. But what's interesting about him, he's a very non-political person. And I think people used to mistakenly think that this guy was this longtime political operative who happened to be an Attorney General. That's not him at all. In fact, that used to get him in some hot water with some of the president's own political aides, who sometimes felt that Eric Holder wasn't thinking about the politics of an issue, whether it was, for instance, early on. He had some well-known clashes with the first Chief of Staff, Rahm Emanuel, and with David Axelrod over the issue of detainees, right? And whether do you try them in the justice system, do you try them in military tribunals? Just those type of fights, in shutting down Guantanamo. Do you give Miranda rights to these guys? Those type of issues where he'd get heat inside the White House because they felt like he wasn't political enough, and yet to the outside world he'd get criticized, say from Republicans on Capitol Hill because they thought, oh, he was being too political. The guy wasn't political at all, and in many ways just ended up being the point person to attract a lot of attacks.
And
are you serious? Are you serious, Chuck Todd? You're the guy that's taken over Meet the Press, and you make an asinine statement like Eric Holder is not a political guy because he clashed with Rahm Emanuel and David Axelrod about Gitmo detainees and Miranda rights, and that's what you choose to say he's not political, and the Republicans have just been picking on this poor point man for Obama?
Yeah, Marty, look, there are absolutely no politics whatsoever involved in the Fast and Furious gun running scandal.
Or the fact that he doesn't, that he accuses everyone that suggests you need an ID to vote. Every one of them is a racist. Everybody that even remotely thinks it's a halfway decent idea that you prove your citizenship to vote.
There's nothing political about that, man. There's nothing political in this whole IRS targeting of conservative scandal with Lois Lerner and the fact that the Justice Department investigation of it has essentially been buried. There's no politics in that, man. Are you crazy?
I must be the crazy one here, because all I have seen out of this idiot is politics, playing to the Democrat base, period. Look at the president's handling of immigration and the non-enforcement, you
talking about non-enforcement from the Justice Department?
Yes, the quote-unquote prosecutorial discretion that is exercised by this Justice Department.
You mean the kind where they just take a whole class of lawbreaker and say we're not going to pursue them, meaning an illegal immigrant?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that'd be the ones. That would be the ones.
You think there's some politics to that?
Hey, man.
Just a little?
Or the fact that, and this one, I'm not really faulting him for this, but to say it's not political would just be complete denial. The fact that he chose not to prosecute the marijuana, what would you call them? People caught with marijuana, like in Colorado and Washington and things like that, that he backed away from that. Not going to prosecute any federal marijuana crimes coming out of these areas. That is strictly targeted at one particular group of people or one particular group of lawbreakers. And, that's been thrown around several times today. Well, he took, he let all of those weed heads go. So, the man has been shot down 20 times in 5 years by the Supreme Court. 20 times. His Department of Justice has been ruled against, or has been, ruled to be unconstitutional.
I mean, I hate to bring up, painful things from his past to rub his nose in it or anything, but he's also been voted in contempt of Congress.
Yeah, for the Fast and Furious, for refusing to give Congress the documents that they've requested, for refusing to answer Freedom of Information Act,
for not prosecuting the people behind the criminalizing of James Rosen.
Yep, spying on his emails, and not just James Rosen, but
the New York Times reporter too,
the AP. I mean, you got Chuck Todd saying he's the guy that's had to do the tough things. No, that's just it, Chuck. He didn't have to do any of those things. None of those that we've even mentioned were things that would come under the normal, you got to take licks as an attorney general thing. That choosing not to prosecute the new Black Panther Party, give me a break.
He also declined to defend the Defense of Marriage Act, which it was an act that I did not agree with. But as the Attorney General of the United States, you are required to defend in court the laws of the nation, whether you agree with those laws or not. Other attorneys general in the past have defended laws that they didn't like.
But
see,
not
that's
this guy.
hard. That's a hard thing to go and say, I don't like this law. I really don't like it, but it is the law, and I'm the Attorney General, so I have to go and make an argument for it. He just declined to do that. In other words, when it came down to the